So if you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas, Nevada, or you're getting ready to relocate to Henderson, Nevada, you might be asking yourself, what are some of the costs of living there that I haven't thought about yet? Well, don't worry. I've thought about a lot of them, and that's what I'm going to talk about all through this video. So you ready to join me? Let's go. Hey everybody, it's Dave Baker with VegasAgents.com. Now, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything about what it's like to live, to work, to eat, to sleep, and of course, to play in Las Vegas, Nevada, then make sure that you tap that little subscribe button and you click that little bell so you'll be notified every time I put out a video all about living in Las Vegas. Now, you know that I'm always talking to people about living in Las Vegas or moving to Henderson, Nevada, or going out to Summerlin. And if you're thinking of doing the same thing, you've got to get in touch with me. All you have to do is send me a text message. You can write me an email. You can give me a call on the phone, or you can even schedule a video call with the link down below, and we can help you get started with your move to Las Vegas, Nevada. All right. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the costs of living in Las Vegas. Now, you've probably thought about the different costs in your life for moving from one city to another, or, relocation costs and things like that. And if you've spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, then you might have done things on a local level. So maybe you've had some experiences, but a lot of people I've talked to have really just come out as tourists. It makes sense. I mean, I think of all the times when I go travel somewhere, like I've said in my other videos, I'm thinking, can I live here? Do I want to live here? Is this better than where I live? And Las Vegas and Henderson and Summerlin are better than a lot of places for a lot of reasons. And we've talked about some of the pros of living in Las Vegas. And we've even talked about some of the downsides and things you have to deal with in life. But in this video, we're going to talk about some of the costs, things you have to pay for and things that you should be prepared for when you move possibly anywhere. But let's focus right now on Las Vegas. So I'm going to count them down for you. And we are going to start with number 5. Number 5 is unique to Las Vegas, okay? This one is entertaining out-of-town guests. What does that mean? Well, think about this, okay? You're going to live in a place where people love to go on vacation. So what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to visit you. Do you know what happened to me when I moved to Las Vegas? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, friends who I had primarily talked to on the phone or hadn't seen in some time said, hey, can I come visit you? I'm thinking of going out to Vegas. I want to visit you. What happened before? You didn't want to visit me somewhere else? Well, guess what happens when you live in a place where people want to go on vacation and you happen to live there? Now, one interesting thing that I'll say is that not all of my friends ask if they can stay at my place, which is kind of surprising. They still want to stay in a tourist area. They want to stay in a hotel, which is cool. No problem. We're still good friends. We don't all have to stay in the same house together. But what's interesting is that's something that I've noticed happens. Sometimes people want to stay at your house, and sometimes people still want to stay on the Strip, or they want to stay downtown by Fremont Street, or they just want to stay at a hotel. And I think that's part of the vacation aspect for them. So that makes sense. A lot of people love to stay in hotels. It's fun. I like it. That's just something that happens. But when you live in Las Vegas, or if you live in Henderson next door, wherever you are in the neighborhood, you're a local. So when you're a local, you don't spend a lot of time going to the Las Vegas Strip. If you go out to dinner, you go somewhere that I'll say is a local place, right? You'll go somewhere by your house. You might even go somewhere 20 miles away, but it's still a local's place, meaning that their restaurant or their entertainment venue, whatever you're doing, is really for people who live in the neighborhoods. So what's really funny is that when people come to visit you, and now this is why it's actually a bit of an expense that you might never have thought of, they often want to go out on the Las Vegas Strip. They said, hey, can you come down to Las Vegas Boulevard? And you might be thinking, well, sure, I'd like to go to this dollar store somewhere off of Las Vegas Boulevard, but that's not what they're thinking. They want to go out for a fancy dinner. They want to go out for drinks or cocktails that are significantly more expensive than at a local's place. Or maybe they want to see a show. Now, seeing a show is a little bit different because you might go see a show anyway as a local, because we have so many awesome shows in Las Vegas. People travel all around the world to see them, right? It's like when people go to New York, they go to Broadway, but they come to Las Vegas and they want to see some of our incredible acts and shows. It's amazing. But what'll happen is your friends will say, hey, let's go meet on the Strip. First we'll meet for us drinks, and then maybe we'll meet for some snacks, and then you'll go to dinner, and all of a sudden, you've spent quite a hefty sum of money that you weren't regularly expecting to spend. So that's something that's very unique to Las Vegas, because so many people come visit you and they want to go to the nice restaurants. I get it. Okay, we have amazing restaurants. We have amazing steakhouses. You know, you've got all these different places that are on the Strip, but maybe if it's their second time visiting you, you could have them go with you to one of your favorite local establishments. Just an idea. Let's just say that I've done that. I say things like, hey, have you ever tried this really special restaurant? It's got this special kind of Japanese food or this Korean barbecue that I love. And it's off the Strip, but I've been there a bunch of times and I know it's really great. And they might say, hey, can you pick us up at the hotel? Because we don't have a car. And no problem. Congratulations. You get to go to one of your favorite restaurants and you also get to save a ton of money. So since we're talking about dining out, we're going to talk about expense number 4 on the list, dining out. Now, this partially depends on your lifestyle. If you're the type of person that loves to cook at home all the time, then this might not affect you. If you're a wizard with the Instant Pot, or you're an amazing chef and you can prepare great meals at home, then you might eat at home all the time, and that probably saves you a lot of money. It's good for the budget. But one thing that happens when you come to Las Vegas, especially if you're moving from somewhere smaller, let's say you're moving from a mid-sized town, like not a big city. Let's say you're moving from Bend, Oregon to Las Vegas, or you're moving from somewhere in Kansas. You're moving from Olaf, Kansas to Las Vegas. Then you'll be surprised at just how many restaurants there are. Seriously, there are so many restaurants in Las Vegas. When you look at the maps online and you say, show me the restaurants, there are just so many restaurants that pop up. In fact, the maps can't even show you all of them. You actually have to drag the map and click search again, and it will show you new ones, and they're right next to the other ones. You know what? I think that's awesome, because that gives you options. Options are great, right? I cannot think of a food that you cannot have in Las Vegas. You can have lobster. You don't have to live in Maine to get lobster. Obviously, Las Vegas is famous for all of the crab legs that come in. You have all types of Asian cuisine. I'm talking, there are so many different things. I've had Laotian food. I believe I've had Cambodian food. I love Korean barbecue and Japanese food. We have a lot of Italian restaurants, great Mexican food. There are some really well-known places. And make sure that if you are coming out and you want to see some of my favorite restaurants, go to vegasagents.com, make sure that you're subscribed to the newsletter. And I put in there some of my favorite spots. I'm actually thinking of doing video tours of some of my favorite restaurants just to show you what I like. Now, the dining out thing is something that happens in the beginning, I believe. So when you first move to Las Vegas, what'll happen? Obviously, the day you move there, you might not have any groceries. We understand that. But I think in the first few months, you'll want to try a lot of the great restaurants. And I don't mean the ones that are on the Strip. I mean those off the Strip local joints that are just really fun. And you have a good mix of upscale restaurants, of course, but you have local places, kind of what we'll call single dollar sign restaurants. And then you also have this unique thing where you have a lot of all-you-can-eat restaurants. If all-you-can-eat sushi was a type of sushi, I'll just say that that might be one of the most popular types of sushi. Of course, it's not an actual fish, so what can we say? And of course, I do have to mention those Las Vegas Strip buffets. They're just so good. The things that are at those buffets are amazing. So we'll just put that on your list. Okay, Now let's move into some things that are more localized. That brings us to number 3, gas prices. So what is gasoline pricing like in Las Vegas as compared to other cities? Well, the first thing I want to say, especially for people moving from California to Las Vegas, is that it's definitely cheaper in Las Vegas than in California. Now, I think that has to do something with the gas taxes in California, but I can think of all the times when people come visit, and what happens is they want to fill up at the state line, but they know to wait to get to Las Vegas. And one of the first things they say is, hey, guess what? I waited to get to Vegas and I had enough gas. It was perfect. And I was able to save $1 a gallon. And well, that right there tells you something big. If you're coming from the Pacific Northwest, I think gas prices are somewhat similar. But if you're moving from Texas to Las Vegas, or maybe you're moving from Louisiana to Las Vegas, yeah, you're going to see that it's a little bit more expensive. So I did some research and I looked at several different websites that compare prices of gas. And if you're a commuter, and unless you're paying something really low, I don't think the prices are exorbitant as compared to other places. In some cases, and again, I just did light online research here, and I also think of my own travels, but I don't have an official statistic. But I did see that it looked like gas was 10 to 20% more expensive than some places, while it was significantly cheaper than others. And a lot of that had to do with the taxes that each state has. There are a lot of different things that you can't control. So it's not necessarily the price of oil or gas. It has to do with the taxes that are put onto the gas that you get. If you're moving from a state where you do not pump your own gas, so if you're moving from New Jersey to Las Vegas or moving from Oregon, well, people in Las Vegas, we pump our own gas. It's okay. It's not that big a deal. There is one cool thing I have seen a lot of, which are the deals when you get a car wash. You know, they'll take a little bit off your gas. And also, depending on where you are and your closest area to fill up, they have some cool unlimited car wash deals where you can get all the car washes you need in a month. I didn't put this on the list of things that are issues in Las Vegas, but your car can get dusty, especially if you're driving in an area where there's more desert location. That just makes sense, right? The desert has dust because we have sand. So I don't think the gas prices are at all a deterrent to move to Las Vegas, because it seems like it's pretty much in line with what I've been seeing. Obviously, things are fluctuating all the time, so it changes. Now, if you somehow commute like 50 miles each way a day, and that would be very far in Nevada. For you to commute 50 miles, just think about this. You would have to drive from far northwest Las Vegas, up by Sky Canyon. I'm talking past Summerlin, all the way to the other side of Henderson. And that would be a very significant commute. I cannot think of people who've told me they've had a commute like that. But don't forget, when you contact us, when you send me an email or text us, let us know where you're working and if it's a factor to you to live close to work, because it makes sense. You know, I love convenience. You all know that if you're watching my video. This guy loves a convenient lifestyle. And you should live where you're happy, right? So if for you that means taking a drive to work, well, that's great, because some people tell me they like to drive to work. They want to listen to a podcast or catch up on a show. And some people say, I really wish I could just ride my bicycle to work. And I get that. So just let us know. You got to let us know what's good for you. All right. Now, let's jump into number 2 as we count down on the list. Number 2 is the cost of air conditioning. So you could call this the cost of electricity, because sometimes people ask things like, how much is electricity? Well, air conditioning is different, because air conditioning is its own little category, because in the summer, you must keep your home at a reasonable temperature. Now, if you work at home, there's a good chance you're going to keep your air conditioning on a lower temperature all day long, because you're home and you want to be comfortable. Or maybe you have a dog at home or another animal, or you have somebody else at home that's visiting, and that does have a cost. So it depends on how big your place is. It depends on how many air conditioners you have. And then it depends on how strong your air conditioner is as well. So here's the thing. Some people will say to me, can't I just buy a place that I visit in Las Vegas, we'll say a vacation home, and then just leave it all summer and come back and not turn on the air conditioning? And generally the answer is no, you cannot do that. You need to leave the air conditioning on to keep the house at least a certain maximum temperature so that things don't crack, for example. Your cabinetry, the paint, your windows. You can't just let the house boil. You can't just let the house get so hot. Now, if you have a smaller place, like a townhouse, or if we find you a newer place that's been built with, really good quality heat shielding, then that can help. But overall, I think that not everyone is aware that they have to keep their air conditioning running. Let's say, for example, it was 99 degrees outside. Or let's go big. Let's say that it's 110 out for 2 or 3 days. Well, you cannot let your home get to 110 indoors. You'll need to run the air conditioning. But aren't you happy about all the cool technology we have now? You have all these cool online gizmos that you can use. You have all these Wi-Fi air conditioning thermostats that can help to regulate the temperature in your house. And you can watch it from your phone. You can watch it from a computer at work or your tablet. I think it's so great that we have that stuff in a place where you really need to watch your temperature. So it's not really a big deal to set your thermostat. It's just that you should be aware that you will have to run your air conditioner in the summer, even if you don't want to. It's probably not optional. Unless you have some really unique setup, there's a good chance that you will be running the air conditioner most of the day and part of the evenings, depending on the temperature at night. The temperature in Las Vegas, it's still hot in the evening. Not so hot that it's unbearable to go outside and go for a walk necessarily, although some days are. But, if it's 106 during the day, it's not going to just be 60 degrees at night, right? You might see a 10 or 12 or 15 degree decline. So hopefully you come back in the 80s. That's the goal. But it is the desert. So if you move anywhere in the Las Vegas desert area, then that's part of the deal. But hey, if you're coming from Arizona and you're ready to live in a tax-free state and you're ready to move from Arizona to Nevada, well, then you're probably used to that. So it's not really a big deal. The same comes for other desert areas. If you come from a desert area, then you're probably used to something like this. Now, if you're coming from the East Coast, this might be the opposite of what you're used to. You might be thinking about heating your home in the winter. And in the winter in Las Vegas, I don't think we turn on the heater that much. Maybe a little bit, but it's not really as big of a factor. But it does get cold, which I actually like a little bit. I get to throw on a jacket sometimes. It's nice. Take them out of the closet, throw them back on. All right, let's keep moving forward. Are you ready? Here comes number one. All right. Number one, surprising cost of living in Las Vegas is registering your car. This comes as a surprise to a lot of people. Depending on where you come from, your car registration might be based on a percentage of how much your car costs, or it might be a flat rate. That depends on the state where you live now. For example, if you live in Oregon or Arizona or Idaho, you might be used to seeing flat rate registration costs. You just pay a certain cost per year. Let's hypothetically just say you pay $50 a year to register your car. If you're moving from California to Las Vegas, well, you're used to paying a lot of fees and little taxes and some kind of percentage. But in Las Vegas, it can cost you several $100s to register your car because it is based on a percentage of the car's MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested retail price. So if your car currently, I think the year is 10 years or newer, they base it on something like that, which it can go down a little bit each year. But there are some taxes and other fees. So I was reading a sample on the website where you can look at how much it will cost to register your car. And they were saying, well, if you have a car that's $20,000, it's still a few $100s to register your car. Now, if you drive a Ferrari or you drive a Bentley, well, first, congratulations, but it's going to cost you a lot more to register your car. There's a good chance it could be over $1,000. But if you're driving a $300,000 car, well, then that might not be a big deal to you. So be prepared when you move to Las Vegas for that little unexpected thing. You can actually go on the Department of Motor Vehicles webpage, and you will be able to put in your VIN, your vehicle identification number, and you can get an estimate for how much it will be to register your car. I believe the same goes for motorcycles, and you want to double check that first. If you want also to bring in a vehicle from out of state, you might need to get something called a VIN check, or again, a vehicle identification number check. And they do that at the spot down there at the Department of Motor Vehicles, or they might do it at some off-site locations. Maybe you can go to a dealer. You'll just want to double check on that. That's not really the big deal. One cool thing is that driver's licenses are starting to last longer than some other states, so you won't have to renew it as often, so that'll save you money as well. That's a nice touch. But overall, just remember something. When you're thinking about the cost of registering your car, which it would shock me if you didn't want to move somewhere because it would cost a certain amount to register your car. Don't forget, what's the magical thing about Nevada? Did you guess? Do you remember? It's no state income tax. So there's a good chance that outweighs the cost of registering your car. Everything is a balance when you move. Remember that. Some things will be better, some things might be a little bit different or worse, but you have to find the perfect balance for you. All right, everybody. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn everything about what it's like to live in Las Vegas, please remember to subscribe. Remember to click the notification bell. When I see a new subscriber, you inspire me. You make me want to just keep making more videos and tell you all about it. And if you are thinking of relocating to Las Vegas, relocating to Henderson, or moving to Summerlin, please make sure that you reach out to us. Send me a text message. I love getting text messages. It's fun. Send me an email. Call on the phone 24/7 because we have your back with your move to Las Vegas. If you're ready to move and you think, I'm ready to get out there, then click down at the link below and make sure that you schedule a call with us so that you'll get on a call with the team and they can go over your needs. Everyone on the team is so passionate about living in Las Vegas. There's this love for the community, love for Nevada, and everything that it has to offer. So they can't wait to help you. All right. Everybody, take care, and I'll see you very soon.